Are we entering into a buy the rumor, sell the fact style market? And what could it mean for all of us as investors and traders? In today's video, we take a look at the positive gamma effects of options, the breadth that we've never seen quite before, and of course, the big $500 billion announcement. What does it mean for all of us? But maybe what's even more important are the big moves in some of the huge asset classes. One of the biggest hedges in the world is doing something very interesting. And of course, earnings season is kicking off incredibly well with big tech. So what are the insiders doing? In today's video, we take a look at some of the biggest transaction revelations that we've seen in quite some time. Stocks, commodities, and cryptos. Let's get into it right now together. Well, welcome back everybody to The Daily Show. My name's Tom, and today we have a cracker of a show because, as you guys know, there is a lot going on in these markets, and we've seen some absolutely wild moves over just the last 24 hours. With Trump's inauguration now done, what has he announced, and more importantly, where are the big money flows going? Well, as we know, insider traders sometimes tell us a little bit, and one of the greatest insiders of all is, of course, Nancy Pelosi. As it turns out, we've got some information here coming out from what she's been purchasing recently and, of course, selling. Now, first up, when I was looking at this report, I noticed that Apple was sold kind of at a nice price. It'll be interesting to see if she buys back onto that. We'll look at the chart later. It's actually come up to a great support. But also, she was selling a bit of NVIDIA, and then it looks like she's been buying a little bit more back in as we've seen these lows. With that $500 billion announcement, though, she was a huge winner in particularly these stocks. We talked about STEM just in our opening show, which is our private community. Links in the description down below if you're interested, which we do every day for the opens. And basically, yeah, it was up like 20% when we discussed it. It ended up a total of 35% on one day. This is a huge announcement. And of course, some of these stocks are the winners. Some people are saying AI health is going to be one of the big discussion points of the next couple of months, and it may still be early when you're starting to talk about that. We'll go through that in previous and new shows. Now, let's discuss this idea of S&P 500 breadth. We just do not see this every day. If you go back 30 years, you will have not ever seen a record quite like this one. 6 days of consecutive breadth increasing of over 2/3 of the stocks advancing. Now, remember when you're watching those videos and also information only from quite a few people a few weeks ago, everyone was concerned about breadth. Well, how can you be when we actually just smashed a record that actually goes all the way back into the 1920s? Yeah, it's an all-time record. Another bit of history just being witnessed, and you guys are here for it. So that's 6 breadth increases of over 68%. And you might be thinking, well, does that mean we just got a Whaley breadth thrust? Well, unfortunately, we didn't quite get that one. But if we did, wow, that would be an exceptional good read. And of course, it means that we have just generally seen a pretty nice increase with a lot of market participation. So clearly, the market is liking what it's seeing right now. But what is happening when it comes to buy the rumor, sell the fact? Well, as we alluded to, oftentimes people think tariffs, which of course Trump is well known for, may actually end up with the dollar going up. And of course, markets have been moving towards the US dollar going up for quite some time for now. But actually, it could be a buy the rumor, sell the fact. If we take a look at 2016, this is how the market ended up acting in terms of the US dollar. This is now overlaid with 2024, and you can see it's a kind of similar sign. Now, if the dollar goes down, it will have dramatic implications to so many different trades. Not that just of the euro versus the US dollar, but also potentially another one we've looked at, which is, of course, China and the HSI. I've often said US dollar down could mean China up, and this is one of the big discussion points. To make matters even more glaring that this could be a possibility, we've talked about the daily sentiment index of the 50 DMA being really overbought and how that's led on to generally gold being an exceptional pair. Now, we love gold on this channel. Obviously, I've been talking about it. We all have been for multiple years now, and it's been one of the best performers in the markets. We've been discussing it since 1800 on the bull run. We still think it can go over 3,000, and obviously if this chart happened, yeah, we're going even higher than that. So that's some good stuff. But of course, here's the US dollar overlaid with all previous terms. And you'll notice here that, yeah, it makes some sense. We're in the kind of point where you would expect this to generally turn towards the downside. And obviously, if price action happens, you know this is also kind of the previous trend, then that could be quite helpful. Remember, price will dictate everything. To make matters kind of even easier when it comes to the bull side. You've had quite a lot of good reads. Obviously, people are looking at MACD, they're looking at movements of oscillators in general going towards the positive side. And yeah, MACD's up, and of course, it's looking good. But I think the big story was probably sentiment. Sentiment was terrible. In our previous videos, we talked about how bulls disappeared completely last week as of Tuesday, just before the CPI, and it was really bad. It was like 26% of people were bullish. That's down from like 50s. So that's a huge deal. And when we get these types of big spread changes, these are the reads. Now, oftentimes people say in the comments, you guys say, Tom, there's not enough data there, man. There's not enough information. We can't go off that. Well, this one certainly does have a bit of information with it. And it does point towards, again, maybe the next 6 months in particular and 3 months being positive. 88% of the time bullish, and not just for a little bit. 4% up over here and 7% on the 6 months. So some good signs here that this may have been, well, probably is the low for now, and that we could be going to an all-time high. We're very close at this point. Now, before we go over the earnings season and Netflix big earnings, and of course the dark pools and the options flows and the key charts, let's look at this $500 billion announcement. Now, I think it's really important to note that it sounds like a huge number because it is, but it's only the beginning. So you can see here that basically we've got SoftBank, we've got OpenAI and Oracle's Larry Ellison, he's doing quite good here, announcing an initial $100 billion investment, which could scale up to $500 billion. Now, it looks like there's a little bit of kind of rando information coming out about this, but in general, this is the kind of announcement that I've seen that's probably the more up-to-date one. You can go and have a look over this if you're interested. Links in the description down below. And effectively, yeah, it's the beginning of a potentially really big announcement that could go for years. And as we know, with these slow and big announcements, they will get priced into stocks. Now, why is this bullish for the market? Well, it's in all the right sectors. And I think that's the key thing here. If we take a look at this chart here, you can see these companies could benefit from this. And there are quite a lot of them. And in particular, you've got your chips, your semis, of course, the backbone of this current bullish run. Then you've got your components, your manufacturing, your networking, your power and thermal management. These are all just some of the companies that could benefit strongly off this $100 billion into potentially $500 billion investment over time. So I believe it's being funded by the public sector, or the private sector, but obviously there'll be all sorts of regulation changes and stuff. So when you're taking a look at this, yes, it's a lot of money. Yes, if price action's going with it, it's important to think about it. But this is a big deal, and it also leads into the potential here of a sugar rushing economy. That is an economy that is loving what it's seeing and continues to do well. Remember, earnings is the backbone of this year. That's the most important thing, along with deregulation happening and possibly tax cuts. They're going to be the ones that people look at. But this is certainly another good case of money being spent, which equals growth, and the markets love that type of thing. Now, we mentioned the other day that we're not going to get the toy 2 month. One of our favorite reads, Wayne Whaley, does a great job here. November 19th to January 19th. We missed it, okay? We didn't get 3% on the markets. That's unfortunate, but hey, let's look at the brighter side here. What could it mean? Well, I think you want to note 2 dates here. Best time period of this year, if we're going off previous history stats, would be October 25th to November 6th, which I find interesting. 15 up, 4 down. But take a look at this, July 14th, July 22nd, a horror run. Maybe mark that one down in your calendar. Not very good, only 6 up, 13 down. Yeah, that's a pretty bad run. So mid-year might have that nasty little week period kind of there to 2-week period. But generally speaking, this isn't the worst result. If it was negative, it would be really bad. What this is basically telling us is don't expect exceptional wild gains like we've seen the last couple of years. You would probably not expect a 20% plus this year on the S&P. You would expect more of a middling kind of 7, maybe 11%. And you can see here the averages, I think, over time work out to be about, I think it's like 9 and a bit percent. So still pretty good. 73.7% of the time, if you take all considerations in since 1950, you will get a 9.3% gain. So something to keep in the back of your mind. Still an overall bullish stat. It goes with some of our other bullish stats, which is the first 5 days, but we still did lose the 3 month, and we still did lose, of course, that other one, which was the Santa Claus rally. So I would say this year is neutral bullish at this point in terms of just those reads. Now, talking of overbought already, there are some indicators that are already going, wow, we're super overbought. The McClellan oscillator here, I believe, is kind of going super high, but I wouldn't say I would be, terrified of this or anything else. I would expect the S&P 500 to at least make a new high before this would become even a discussion point. But as always, we like to be fair and balanced, so I thought I'd bring it up. Valuation earnings is the key to this year. That's what the market's been pricing in. You can see here PE plus EPS needs to improve. If it is improving, we get higher prices. This is, of course, that median kind of price over time. And you guys can see we're a little bit elevated above that. So what that really means is we need this to happen. And it is happening right now. Percentage of S&P 500 companies with positive 12-month% changes in forward earnings as of the Q4 earnings, it's looking good. And that puts us into the last third move, which you can see here is pretty consistent. So yeah, again, you can't really be overall bearish on this market just yet. Why could that be? Well, this is a big beat. I mean, Netflix, they're getting greedy. Anyone remember cable? Well, we're back, baby, because cable is back and these guys are just doing the same thing they did in the past. Initially, it starts cheap. You get into the platform and guess what, guys? We're going to take away your freedoms on it. And then, of course, we're going to up your price. Let me know down below, actually. I'm really interested to see in the community, what streaming services are you thinking of canceling in 2025, if any? Is it Netflix? Is it going to be Disney? Is it going to be something else? In Australia, KO, Stan, who knows? Let us know down below. What are you keeping? What are you getting rid of? Either way, Netflix, I'm going to read some big numbers to you. Plus 13% post-market in terms of the move. EPS $4.27. Revenue $10.25 billion. Net income $1.87 billion. And operating income plus 52% year on year to $2.27 billion. Now, we have to expect these types of companies to potentially be making more as they start to implement AI and sack people. Yeah, unfortunately, that is already starting to happen. Meta making that announcement. We're seeing Microsoft cutting jobs as well. AI is already having an impact where you'd expect it to have an impact straight away, which is these big tech companies. And they're already starting to say, you know what, we don't need you guys anymore. We'll replace you with the little robot. This will be okay for the stock market, but obviously it's going to hurt the unemployment numbers. So we'll talk about that as we lead through this year. There's a lot of moving dynamics that are going on. Let's talk Russell 2000. Great move, guys. This has happened since we first reported here. We just got above that high. So this is a higher high on the Russell now. That's a good sign, along with the RSP, along with the value 1000 ETF, etc., etc., etc. The markets are, of course, improving structurally. And this means that even if markets do come back, it's likely there's going to be a buy. It's likely we're going to find dark pools. And there weren't many dark pools over the last 24 hours, like big ones that I'm like, wow, we need to discuss this. I think on a pullback, though, you're probably going to find buyers at those defended zones we've looked at recently, 5,900, etc., etc., if that does happen on the S&P. Let's talk Bitcoin and ETFs. Yeah, it's a little bit delayed as always, but we had to expect this. So overall, inflows are up on both ETH and BTC. We saw, of course, the Trump coin come out, go up wild, get dumped. Solana went up because it was on that network. And, crypto not really getting that super boost people were looking for, but still looking quite nice in terms of structure. These are the earnings moving forward. Just remember, there are still big earnings this week, but obviously next week's going to get even more wild. And there's just another Netflix one. But let's have a look here at just some of the dark pools that have mattered recently. Of course, we've used the stock market, but I just want to mention again, that Bitcoin had that big transaction on it. And the Bitcoin also had a monster on it here with the iShares Bitcoin Trust. And this can help us to kind of say, well, now that we've made a higher high, it's likely that people that were using, ABCs and then saying it's going to drop and go into a bad Elliott wave run, it's likely that they've been squeezed out. So basically that position's probably not going to be the discussion point anymore. And again, it's a positive sign here for Bitcoin because it actually made a new high, proving that this may be a buy. And that's a good sign because basically this then becomes an accumulation and it can be a nice structural base for Bitcoin. So it's very important it holds that base throughout this year. If it gives it up, that's going to be a really big issue. And it could be the end of the crypto run if that's what's going to happen. S&P, nice big close, closes on its strength. Obviously, Netflix after hours pushing up the futures a little bit here. Very nice. 5,900 to 5,850 is a possibility. This could be the area that people are looking for to get reloads. But look, we broke the downward trend. We did that on the NASDAQ. We did that on the S&P. And you'll notice as soon as the market sold and people got fearful, it just bought straight off that really important level. So I'd say this is really good for the stock market so far. Not seeing too many negative really reasons here. And even if it pulls back, that would be the kind of thing that we're looking at the moment. This zone here, dark pools, large transactions, that kind of thing going through. Updated for you guys, the option high levels. Of course, where's the option high? 6,100. We breached 6,100. What are we going to do? 6,200. And we've entered back into positive gamma. So most bulls will be pretty happy with today's session. Now, if we have a look here at the overall S&P 500 market, you'll notice that, of course, we've gone through that 6,000. We've now bought a put, or we've seen puts kind of come through at 59.50. That's giving us a little bit of temporary relief on the bottom end of where the supports may be. You can see here, even on the 31st, it's similar. And all of these calls are sitting here. So people are ultra bullish, and if it keeps going up, it'll keep pushing on itself. We've seen this play out before. If you take a look at NVIDIA, you'll notice here 140 plus. We just closed above that. So again, holding 140 creates positive gamma. The markets could really move in the direction. And with that announcement of the chips, concepts and act, that could also push all the semis. And we'll look at the charts very soon for that. What about Tesla? Well, again, 450 is probably the barrier for now. We're trading at 424. The market's liking it. Remember, this did get a real buy the rumor. So we were very bullish on Tesla up until just before 500. And I continue to think it could be up, down, and all around. Let's see how this whole Doge apartment, all these other things end up playing through. Let's move over now to the bonds market and some of the lead indicators. First up, well, we were correct, I guess. Well done, guys. This is great work by you guys because, the bonds market literally said, this is the low. Don't worry about it, guys. It's all chill. Let's go back on with the normal stuff. So far, that's been true. Of course, we'll use that read throughout 2025, so make sure to subscribe for that. The home builders improved. The regional banks obviously improved. The American consumer improved. And, of course, one of the backbones of the American economy, which is big banks lending debt, improved because the big banks have been doing some good earnings recently. So really, again, earnings tend to pack into price, and so far it's looking good. Now, what is the buy the rumor, sell the fact? Well, of course, that's the US dollar. Buy the rumor, everyone worries about tariffs and everything like this, and then potentially it's sell the fact on the US dollar. Now, if the US dollar does go down, that's going to get a couple of trades going, and we've already started to see some signs of this. Not only is the US dollar topped out a little bit here, come down to that really important demand level. We've got an alert underneath here, and it gave up the daily 20. Now, the daily 20 has been very decent buy pressure recently, so it's given up that level. It looks like this on the euro, which basically is signaling, we breached this 104 kind of 40, and the euro's going from being a pretty clear short to now very much more a bullish end. And I've already, I wouldn't be bearish on this anymore. I'd be only bullish or neutral. And in this case, you can see here again some nice buying. Maybe we'll pressure that 104.40. I could see buyers sitting around that 103 flat for the euro. So certainly some interesting stuff coming in here from those. Some other good signs, our gold trade. Yeah, I love it. Hopefully some of you love it too. Loving to see gold go back up. Obviously, one that we've been patient on. Pull back in time, totally needed for gold. Way too bullish by people. But in this case, a big, strong break through 27.30. Yeah, it's in a little bit of supply. I think it's going to an all-time high. Let's get that thing up there. And pullback should be, obviously met by bull demand ideally. Silver also looking pretty good. Long leg doji putting pressure here. Set a little alert up here so we can get that one if it comes through. And oil, as we suspected, topping out for now. Maybe a buy the rumor, sell the fact as well. But I am still liking oil. I just want it to be down at around 73.40. So let's get down to that demand area. And for now, just, see how this plays. I think there'll be probably something on oil. Tesla, 450 on the top end, obviously 380 on the bottom end, kind of sitting within the range. Not much to really report. And Apple's come into a question mark first buy area. Obviously dropping off super hard, but coming into a very nice demand level. Now you could argue, well, Apple has no innovation or some other issues with it that kind of the narratives. But ultimately, if price is held up here, this could be an interesting area. We know Pelosi sold, what was it, the end of December? Oh, she's good, guys. Look at that. Just no TA, just bang. Just hits the sell button, just smashes that through, and then it goes down every day pretty much since. So will she be a buyer of Apple at this price? Certainly in the most traded area, boxed up kind of where most institutions have been buying. Let's find a dark pool, see what happens then. Semiconductors on the run, obviously one of the strongest sectors we've been looking at recently in the sell-off. And yeah, it's doing quite nicely. So trying to break through. Could do okay based on all these announcements. Also seeing Nvidia and of course the dark horse trade, which is the AMD trade. Maybe that has a good next 24 hours based on this announcement. HSI putting pressure on 20,200. This is going to be a change of trend level for HSI. Again, dollar down, could be HSI up, so that could be a good sign for it. Watch iron ore, and iron ore, of course, has broken to the upside, so we're liking that. US 2K looking great. Sell off into rally, fantastic. We've looked at the stats. The stats look pretty good. Of course, we expect buying around that 2,200, and that's going to be good if that does happen. This is change trend. Again, regional banks change trend. A lot of those weird AI stocks as well. AI health, they're in the US 2K. So again, bios and stuff could be doing well. NASDAQ broke through. Very nice. Obviously closed to a new high here. Well, not new all-time high, but a new high. Strong candles again. You can't really look at this as, oh, wow, I'm going to be negative on the market. I don't think you can. It's generally looking pretty positive. Solana went to an all-time high, then found resistance, could consolidate here for a little bit while other cryptos catch up. Ethereum, frankly disappointing. This is kind of sucked. 3250 though, still where I'd expect buyers. I'm not losing like faith in Ethereum. Obviously, like any crypto, the way I always look at it is you've got to be in cryptos early so you get those runs. I like Solana, I like ADA, I like Ethereum, I like Link, I like DOT, I like Bitcoin, of course, number one, Bitcoin, massive maxi on Bitcoin. So yeah, it's just one of those things that we do need to see it break through, but at least it's defended that area. And that's important. It has to defend this 3,200. You do not want it retesting this 3K again without incredible wicks like we saw last time. It really needs to find it. Double bottom would be what people are looking for here. And that's going to be a 3,500 plus break. So still holding on. Let's see if it can move. Bitcoin, on the other hand, looking a lot better, killing kind of a lot of the shorts here. And it is a bit wicky, but I like the last close. I think that's pretty strong. It's right on res. Let's get another close, maybe 108 plus, and that could really push some big numbers. In terms of this week, just remember there's a bunch of different news coming out from a whole bunch of other countries. Canada, we've also got, of course, the Eurozone coming out with some information, and then we've got flash manufacturing, PMI, and services. There's going to be a lot of Trump orders and tweets and all sorts of things coming through, so it's not going to be an uneventful 2025. Make sure to join us on that journey. If you want to find out more about what we do, how we come up with these replication trades, and more about where we are in types of the cycle, check out our flash sale, specifically our advanced course if you're interested in finding out more about cycle analysis and stuff. And of course, follow us along on X and check us out on LinkedIn, where I'm sharing a whole bunch of psychology. I've already put out a couple of psychology reports to help you along in your trading journey and investing journey for 2025. Thank you so much, guys. You have a fantastic day. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.